Urban exploration started as a hobby for me about 5 years ago. At first, it was harmless old factories, empty malls, abandoned schools. I never broke anything or stole anything. I just liked walking through places that time had forgotten. Places where life had suddenly stopped. You could feel it in the walls sometimes. Old calendars still hanging on office walls. Coffee cups left on desks. Children's drawings taped to lockers. Moments frozen in place. Most explorers post everything online, but I rarely did. I preferred going alone. No crowds, no cameras in my face. Just the quiet and the thrill of discovering something untouched. One night, while browsing old property records and local forums, I came across a place people kept mentioning. An abandoned movie theater on the outskirts of a quiet suburb. It was called the Orion Theater. Closed in the late 1990s after some kind of financial collapse. Since then, it had sat empty, slowly rotting behind a rusted chain-link fence. But what caught my attention wasn't the building. It was the rumors. People said lights sometimes flickered inside at night. Others claimed they heard movie audio echoing from the building long after it closed. Most of that stuff is usually nonsense. Urban legend builds fast around abandoned places. Still, the photos looked incredible. A massive lobby with old velvet carpets, classic red theater seats, vintage film projectors. For someone like me, it was perfect. So one Friday night around midnight, I drove out there. The Orion Theater sat at the end of a deserted parking lot. Weeds pushed through cracks in the pavement, and the old marquee sign hung crooked above the entrance. Most of the letters had fallen off. Only a few remained. Now showing the rest was blank. The front doors were boarded up, but like most abandoned places, someone had already found a way in. There was a broken side door near the back alley. I slipped inside with my flashlight. The smell hit first. Dust, mold, and that strange stale air abandoned buildings always have. My light swept across the lobby. Old ticket counters, torn posters still clinging to the walls. A red carpet so faded it had turned almost brown. Everything looked frozen in time, except for one thing. The lobby lights flickered. Not constantly, just once. A quick pulse. I stopped walking and looked up. Most abandoned buildings still have electrical remnants, so sometimes stray power lines cause weird things like that. I shrugged it off and kept moving. Past the concession stand, past the broken glass display cases, toward the theater doors. As I pushed one open, something strange happened. I heard a sound, soft, but unmistakable. A movie playing, not loud, more like distant audio. Muffled voices, like dialogue echoing from deep inside the building. The theater room itself was massive. Rows and rows of red seats stretched out in front of me. This coated everything like a thin blanket. My flashlight beam moved slowly across the rows. Then it landed on the screen, and I froze. There was light on it, faint, flickering light, like a projector was running somewhere. But there was no film, just gray static moving across the giant screen. I stepped down the aisle carefully. Every step echoed in the massive room. That's when I heard it again. Voices. This time clearer, murmuring, whispering. At first I thought maybe someone else had broken in. Other explorers maybe. But the voices didn't sound normal. They overlapped strangely, like dozens of people talking at once. And then something moved in the seats. I swung my flashlight toward the rows. Nothing, just empty. Chairs. My breathing slowed. Maybe it was rats. Buildings like this were full of them. I turned back toward the screen, and the light suddenly got brighter, just for a second. Long enough for me to notice something, a shape sitting in one of the seats. About halfway down the aisle, my flashlight beam shook slightly as it moved toward it. The seat was empty, but the dust around, it wasn't disturbed, which meant something had just moved. I decided to check the projector room. If something was causing the light on the screen, it had to be coming from there. The staircase up to the projection booth creaked under my weight. The door at the top was partially open. Inside, the air felt colder. The old film projector stood in the middle of the room, and it was running. The reels were spinning slowly, but there was no film loaded into it. just empty metal arms turning, and somehow, the machine still projected light. I stepped closer. That's when I noticed something else. Footprints, not mine. Fresh footprints in the dust leading to the projector. Bare feet, small ones, like someone had been standing there recently. My chest tightened. I followed the footprints. They led away from the projector and straight to the viewing window overlooking the theater. I looked down into the auditorium, and my stomach dropped. Every seat was filled, not with people, with shapes. Faint gray figures sitting perfectly still in the chairs. Hundreds of them. Some leaned forward, some slouched, some turned their heads slowly toward the screen. Their outlines flickered like bad film grain, and every single one of them was facing the screen. The whispering voices I heard earlier suddenly grew louder. Hundreds of overlapping murmurs. Then slowly, they started turning toward me, one by one, row after row, every head tilting upward, looking directly into the projection booth window at me. I ran. I didn't care about exploring anymore. I bolted down the stairs, across the lobby, straight for the exit. The whispering followed me, growing louder, closer, like the entire theater audience had stood up at once. I burst through the broken side door and sprinted into the parking lot. Cold night air hit my lungs. The theater behind me was completely dark, silent. No lights, no voices, nothing. For a long time, I just stood there breathing hard, staring at the building. Eventually, I convinced myself I had imagined it. Panic can do weird things to your brain in places like that. Still, I never went back. I tried to forget about the Orion Theater. Months passed. Life moved on. Until one night, I was scrolling online and saw something that made my blood run cold. Someone had uploaded an old news article about the theater. I clicked it. The headline read, "Tragic fire kills hundreds during late-night screening." The article explained that in the 1970s, a massive electrical fire had trapped people inside during a midnight movie premiere. The doors had jammed. Smoke filled the auditorium. Most people never made it out. Hundreds died in their seats. I stared at the photo attached to the article. It showed the interior of the Orion Theater. Rows of seats. The giant screen. Exactly the way I remembered it, except for one detail. In the photograph, the projection booth window was visible, and inside it you could see a faint figure standing there, watching the audience. The article caption read, "Final photograph taken moments before the fire spread," and the figure in the booth looked exactly like me. If you like this video, please leave a like and share this with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us for more videos.